The Galactic Council Hall was a grand structure, floating in the void of space, surrounded by massive ships from 100 different civilizations. Inside, the leaders of the most powerful alien races sat in a circular chamber, their eyes focused on one figure, Ambassador Ryan Carter of Earth. Carter stood tall, his expression calm, but inside, he knew what was coming. The Council had gathered for one reason only, to decide the fate of humanity. The Xilari High Chancellor, a tall, insect-like being with shimmering blue skin, raised his voice. The decision is final. Humanity is hereby exiled from the Galactic Council. All trade agreements are void. All diplomatic ties are cut. Earth is to remain isolated. A murmur spread through the chamber. Some species looked pleased, others uneasy. Humanity had been a rising power, advancing too fast, pushing too hard. They had broken unwritten rules, rules that the older races never spoke of but expected everyone to follow. Carter clenched his fists but kept his voice steady. And what is our crime? The High Chancellor's mandibles clicked. Your species is reckless, unpredictable, dangerous. You spread too fast, adapt too quickly, and refuse to submit to the Council's authority. The peace of the galaxy cannot be risked for the sake of one aggressive race. Carter chuckled, shaking his head. Peace? You mean control. You fear us because we refuse to be pawns in your game. The room fell silent. The truth was out in the open now. A reptilian diplomat sneered. You should be grateful we are letting you leave in peace. Others were not so lucky. Carter's eyes hardened. He had read the history. Species that had refused the Council's demands had been wiped out, their homeworlds turned to ash. Humanity was being given a rare chance. Exile instead of annihilation. He took a deep breath, then smiled. A calm, knowing smile that made some of the Council members uneasy. You think this will break us? He turned, walking toward the exit. Before stepping through the grand doors, he paused. We survived ice ages, world wars, and disasters that should have wiped us out. You think exile will stop us? You have no idea what you've just done. And with that, he left. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Anger, fear, and confusion filled every city. Some panicked, believing the Council would attack next. Others raged, calling for revenge. But the leaders of humanity did not waste time on emotions. They acted. In secret, the greatest minds of Earth gathered. Plans were drawn. Hidden colonies, deep space stations, and secret research labs went into full operation. Every scientist, engineer, and strategist worked toward one goal: survival. But for some, survival was not enough. If the galaxy does not want us, the President of Earth said in a quiet, determined voice, then we will build our own empire. One that does not beg for acceptance, one that does not bow to fear. The exile had begun, but it was not the end. It was only the beginning. The galaxy thought humanity was finished. After their exile, the Council believed Earth would fall into chaos. Without access to interstellar trade, without advanced alien technology, humanity would weaken and fade into obscurity. But the Council had underestimated them. Far from the eyes of the galaxy, Earth did not collapse. It adapted. Deep inside the Sol system, a massive transformation had begun. Every factory on Earth, the Moon and Mars worked day and night. New shipyards were built in secret, hidden inside asteroid fields and deep space. Every scientist, every engineer, and every strategist focused on one goal: to make humanity stronger than ever before. The first step was self-sufficiency. Without the Council's technology, Earth needed to replace everything they had once relied on: energy sources, medical advancements, faster than light travel. But humans were problem solvers. They did not need the Council's help. They found new ways. New warp engines were developed, faster and more efficient than before. AI-controlled manufacturing plants created weapons and starships at an impossible rate. Cybernetic enhancements made soldiers stronger, smarter, and faster. The first generation of genetically modified humans was born, designed for deep space survival and combat. But the most important thing, they stayed hidden. The Council sent spies to monitor Earth, but they found nothing. Every signal, every ship movement, every trace of humanity's progress was erased. The Sol system became a ghost sector, no transmissions, no activity, just silence. Council scouts who entered the system never returned. Rumors began to spread. Some said Earth had been abandoned. Others believed humanity had fallen back into war and destroyed itself. The Council was satisfied with these theories. To them, humans were just another failed species. They had no idea what was coming. Outside the Sol system, humanity was not just hiding. They were expanding. A fleet of advanced stealth ships moved in secret, traveling to the darkest corners of space. They found uncharted systems, rich in resources but ignored by the Council. These became the foundations of humanity's new empire. Massive underground cities were built beneath barren planets. Space stations disguised as asteroids became command centers. Humanity no longer needed permission to explore the stars. But they did not forget the insult, the betrayal. They remembered every alien race that had voted to exile them, every species that had turned its back, every insult, every threat. And they were preparing. One day, an auxiliary trade convoy vanished near the edge of Council space. The official report claimed it was a pirate attack. Then, a high-ranking Council general's ship disappeared. His escorts found floating in space, perfectly intact, but without a single life form aboard. Whispers spread among the stars. Entire colonies, outposts, and patrol fleets began to vanish without a trace. No wreckage, no distress signals, just emptiness. But still, no one suspected humanity, because to the galaxy, Earth was dead. And that was exactly what humanity wanted them to think. For years, the galaxy believed humanity was gone. No ships, no signals, no activity. The Sol system was silent. The Council had moved on, focusing on their own power struggles. Humanity was nothing more than a forgotten footnote in galactic history. But in the darkness, Earth had not only survived, it had become something far greater. Hidden beyond the Council's reach, humanity had built an empire of shadows. Dozens of secret colonies thrived in deep space, protected by cloaking technology far more advanced than anything the Council had ever seen. Space stations disguised as barren asteroids served as research labs, command centers, and shipyards. And the fleet. The fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever known. Earth's old ships were designed using Council-approved technology. Their new ships were something else entirely. Sleek, black, and built with materials that absorbed scans and sensors, they were ghosts in the void. The Phantom Armada. Each ship was equipped with experimental weapons that defied known physics, plasma lances that cut through shields like paper, railguns that fired at near-light speeds, and gravity disruptors that could tear enemy ships apart without a single shot being fired. And yet, for all their power, they remained hidden. They waited. Until the first test. Auxiliary battleship, the *Valtak*, patrolled the outer rim of Council space. It was a massive warship, heavily armored, armed with the most advanced weapons the Council had. For centuries, the *Valtak* had crushed rebellions, enforced Council rule, and ensured that no species ever challenged their authority. It never made it back to Council space. The attack happened so fast that the *Valtak*'s crew barely had time to react. One moment, the battleship was alone in the void. The next, strange shadows flickered across their sensors, ships with no identification, moving at impossible speeds. The first strike disabled the *Valtak*'s engines. The second shut down its weapons. The third tore open the hull. Within minutes, the mighty battleship was nothing more than floating wreckage. There were no distress signals, no survivors. The Council only realized something had happened when they found the remains drifting through space days later. There were no signs of who had attacked. No known species had this kind of technology. But humanity had left a message. Carved into the ruined hull of the Valtak** were three simple words. ***, we are coming. ***. Panic spread across the Council. The destruction of the Valtak** was impossible to explain. No enemy had been detected. No warning had been given. Other attacks followed. A patrol fleet vanished near the outer colonies. A Council weapons research station went silent overnight. A diplomatic transport carrying high-ranking officials was found drifting through space, its passengers missing but the ship completely undamaged. Fear began to take hold. The Council tried to track the attackers, but every lead led to nothing. Every attempt to identify the enemy failed. Because the enemy was a ghost, and the ghosts were just getting started. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Entire fleets had vanished. Colonies had gone silent. High-ranking officials had disappeared without a trace. And worst of all, no one knew who was behind it. The Council had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, believing themselves untouchable. Now, for the first time, they felt fear. But fear was not enough to stop what was coming. The first true strike came without warning. Zorak Prime, a heavily fortified Council world, was a critical hub for military production. Its orbital shipyards produced warships for the Xilari, the ruling species of the Council. Powerful defense stations surrounded the planet, and fleets patrolled its skies. No enemy had ever dared to attack it. Until now. It started with a sudden blackout. Every satellite, every scanner, every sensor on the planet went dark in an instant. Communication systems failed. Defense systems shut down. For a brief moment, the people of Zorak Prime thought it was a simple malfunction. Then the sky burned. Massive black warships, unlike anything seen before, phased into existence. They had no markings, no signals, only sleek, deadly silence. The first attack was precise. Orbital defense stations exploded in perfect synchronization. Before the planetary shields could activate, kinetic bombardments struck key military targets. On the ground, the soldiers of the Council fought bravely. They launched their ships, fired their weapons, and prepared for a long battle. The battle lasted 7 minutes. Council warships were torn apart before they could even lock onto their targets. Enemy vessels moved at impossible speeds, shifting through space like ghosts. One by one, Zorak Prime's defenses crumbled. And then the final blow came. A single transmission was broadcast across the planet, a voice that sent shivers through every living being. ***, you exiled us. You abandoned us. Now we return, not as outcasts, but as rulers. ***. The people of Zorak Prime barely had time to process the words before fire rained from the sky. Within an hour, the once great planet was reduced to ruins. The Council's mighty war factories, research centers, and fortresses were nothing more than burning wreckage. And when the attack was over, the mysterious fleet vanished, leaving behind only one thing: a flag, a black flag with a single symbol in the center. ***, the emblem of Earth***. The truth spread like wildfire. The Council had exiled humanity, believing them weak, believing they would fade into obscurity. Instead, humanity had become something greater, something unstoppable. The Terran Empire had been born in the shadows, growing in secret, building an army beyond imagination. And now, they had returned, not to ask for forgiveness, but to take what was denied to them. Panic gripped the Council. Every species that had voted for humanity's exile now realized their mistake. But it was too late. Zorak Prime was only the beginning. And the Terran Empire was just getting started. The destruction of Zorak Prime sent shockwaves through the galaxy. For the first time in history, a major Council world had fallen, not to rebellion, not to pirates, but to an enemy no one could stop. The mighty fleets of the Council had been crushed in minutes. Their strongest defenses had meant nothing. And worst of all, the attackers were no mystery anymore. Humanity had returned. The Council called for an emergency meeting. The Exiled High Chancellor, his usually calm face now filled with fear, slammed a fist onto the table. This cannot be happening. The humans were exiled. Their homeworld was supposed to be cut off. How did they build such power? No one had an answer. Humanity was supposed to be weak, trapped in the Sol system with no resources, no allies, no future. And yet, they had built a fleet that could wipe out entire planets. The Council had spent centuries believing they were the masters of the galaxy. Now they were facing something they did not understand, an enemy that had learned from them, adapted beyond them, and now hunted them. A war had begun, and the Council was losing before it even started. The Terran Empire did not waste time. Fleet after fleet of black warships struck Council territory with terrifying precision. No warnings, no demands, only destruction. Council supply lines were cut. Military outposts were wiped out. Communication hubs went dark. Every time the Council tried to mount a defense, they found their ships outmaneuvered, their weapons useless, their strategies predicted and countered. Humanity was always one step ahead. "They know our tactics," a auxiliary general growled. "They know how we think." Of course they did. For years, humans had studied the Council, watched their every move, learned their weaknesses, and when they were ready, they struck with overwhelming force. Planets that had once laughed at humanity's exile now begged for mercy. Some surrendered without a fight, swearing loyalty to the Terran Empire in exchange for survival. Others resisted, and they were made an example of. The Council tried everything. They sent assassins to kill human leaders. None returned. They tried to open negotiations. No one answered. They even attempted to use their ancient superweapon, the Celestial Lance, a planet killer capable of wiping out entire worlds. It never fired. Before they could activate it, the station controlling it exploded from the inside. Human spies had infiltrated the Council's highest levels. Now, the Council feared their own shadows. One by one, their worlds fell. The Council had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had destroyed species that opposed them, crushed civilizations that defied them. And now, they were the ones being hunted. The High Chancellor, once the most powerful leader in the universe, could only watch in horror as a single message appeared on every screen in the Council chambers. Asterisk, asterisk, you should have never cast us out. Asterisk, asterisk. The war was not over, but the Council already knew how it would end. The war was no longer a war. It was an extermination. The Council, once the greatest power in the galaxy, was now a crumbling shadow of its former self. Their fleets were in ruins, their armies shattered, their allies either dead or surrendering. And at the heart of their destruction stood humanity. The Terran Empire, forged in exile, now returning as the dominant force in the stars. But the humans were not just here for victory. They were here for vengeance. The Exiled homeworld, asterisk asterisk Vorin asterisk asterisk, was the last great fortress of the Council. The once proud capital of the galaxy, where arrogant rulers had once decided the fates of lesser species, was now surrounded by the largest human fleet ever assembled. Thousands of black warships hovered in orbit, their weapons locked onto the planet's defenses. Inside the Council chambers, the remaining leaders stood in silence. They had begged for peace. They had pleaded for negotiations. They had even offered to dissolve the Council if humanity would spare them. But humanity had not forgotten. The exile, the betrayal, the centuries of mistreatment and oppression. The humans did not answer with words. They answered with fire. The bombardment began without warning. Massive kinetic rods, each the size of a skyscraper, rained down from orbit. The first impact shattered entire cities, sending shockwaves across the planet. The second wave targeted military installations, reducing them to rubble. The third, that was for the ruling elite. The council leaders tried to flee, but there was nowhere left to run. One by one, their escape ships were shot down. One by one, their bunkers were destroyed. The great rulers of the galaxy, who had once laughed as they exiled humanity, now screamed in terror as their world burned around them. And when it was over, Vorin was no longer a capital. It was a graveyard. The few surviving members of the council were captured and brought before the new rulers of the galaxy. They were not executed. That would have been mercy. Instead, they were sent to Earth, the planet they had once tried to isolate. Now, they would live there as prisoners, forced to witness the strength of the very people they had cast out. The final message was clear. Asterisk, asterisk, we are not like you. We do not destroy for pleasure, but we do not forgive. Asterisk, asterisk. With the council gone, the war was over. But humanity did not stop. The Terran Empire expanded, absorbing former council worlds, bringing order to the chaos left behind. Planets that once feared humanity now swore loyalty, not out of fear, but out of respect. Because unlike the council, the Terrans did not enslave. They uplifted. They offered protection, knowledge, and unity to those who joined them, but for those who opposed them. The ruins of Vorin were a warning. The old rulers of the galaxy had fallen, and in their place, a new empire had risen, an empire forged in exile, an empire that would never be cast out again. The war was over. The council was no more. But humanity's work had just begun. Across the galaxy, former council worlds lay in ruin. Their governments had collapsed. Their economies were failing. Chaos ruled where order had once stood. The alien species that had once lived under the council's rule now faced a difficult choice: submit to the Terran Empire or fall into anarchy. Most chose to submit, and so humanity did not stop with victory. They began to rebuild. The Terran Empire was not like the Council. Where the Council had ruled with arrogance, the Terrans ruled with discipline. Where the Council had enslaved, the Terrans uplifted. Human engineers spread across the galaxy, repairing what had been destroyed. They built new spaceports, factories, and energy grids. Alien civilizations that had suffered under the Council's corruption were now given a second chance. But the new empire had strict rules. There would be no more favoritism, no more elite species ruling over others. Every race that joined the empire was given a place, a role, and a duty. Loyalty was rewarded. Betrayal was punished. Some tried to resist the new order. They were crushed. Not with genocide, not with mindless destruction. Humanity had already proven its power. Now, they proved their efficiency. Rebellions were stopped before they could begin. Enemy leaders were removed before they could unite. Planets that refused to join the empire were isolated, cut off from trade, left to starve until they begged for entry. This was not cruelty. This was control. And the galaxy had never seen control like this before. Among the stars, a new capital was chosen for the empire. It was not Earth. Earth had become something else, a legend, a fortress, the heart of human strength. No outsiders were allowed to set foot on it. It remained a hidden world, protected by the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Instead, the Terran Empire's capital was established on Aurora Prime ***, a once-dead world now transformed into a shining metropolis. Towering skyscrapers stretched into the sky. Massive spaceports connected trade routes, and war academies trained the next generation of leaders. And above the planet, the Imperial Citadel floated in orbit, a massive station where humanity's rulers now decided the fate of the galaxy. They were no longer called presidents or kings or chancellors. They were ***, the High Command ***, a council of the strongest minds, the most brilliant strategists, and the most ruthless warriors humanity had ever produced. And their mission was clear. Never again would humanity be cast out. Never again would they be weak. Never again would they allow another species to control them. The empire had been built on vengeance. Now it would be sustained by dominance. As the galaxy adjusted to this new order, whispers spread in the darkness. Not all species accepted human rule. Not all worlds were willing to submit. In the farthest reaches of space, remnants of the old council plotted in secret, waiting for the day they could rise again. But the Terran Empire was watching, and they were ready. The galaxy had changed. Once ruled by the arrogant and corrupt Galactic Council, it now belonged to the Terran Empire. Humanity had risen from exile, from betrayal, and forged something greater than anyone had ever imagined. There was no more war, no more rebellion, no more uncertainty. There was only order. But peace was never guaranteed, and the Empire never slept. In the darkest corners of space, shadows gathered. The remnants of the old council, scattered and broken, had not vanished completely. They hid in uncharted systems, building their strength in secret. They whispered of vengeance, of reclaiming what was lost. And they were not alone. Not all species had welcomed human rule. Some had accepted it out of fear, not loyalty. And among them, a growing resistance was taking shape, a hidden army waiting for the right moment to strike. But the Terran Empire had been forged in betrayal, and they knew how to deal with traitors. Deep in the void, beyond the Empire's borders, a fleet gathered. The last survivors of the Exiled, the once mighty rulers of the Council, had united with other exiled factions. They had new weapons, new technology, and a desperate determination to take back their galaxy. They believed they were hidden. They were wrong. Before their fleet could even launch its first attack, darkness swallowed them. Terran stealth ships, invisible to scanners, had already infiltrated their ranks. Sabotage teams had disabled their engines. Virus programs had turned their navigation systems against them. When the hidden fleet finally tried to move, their own weapons turned on each other. Their own ships crashed into one another. Their own oxygen supplies vented into space. It was over before it had even begun. The message was clear. Asterisk, asterisk. The Terran Empire does not forgive. The Terran Empire does not forget asterisk, asterisk. No rebellion would rise. No enemy would escape. There would be no second war. Only the future. But the Empire was not just about crushing enemies. It was about building something that would last forever. Under human rule, the galaxy flourished. Trade thrived. Technology advanced at a speed never before seen. AI and cybernetics reached new heights. Entire planets were transformed into industrial giants, producing warships, energy, and resources that made the Empire stronger every day. New species were discovered and brought into the Empire, not as slaves, but as allies. Because humanity had learned one thing from the Council's downfall: power was not just about war. It was about control. It was about unity. It was about ensuring that nothing like the Council would ever rise again. And so, the Terran Empire ruled. Not for a decade, not for a century, but forever. For humanity had once been outcasts. Now, they were the masters of the stars. And they would never be cast out again.